And now, What's My Line? Brought to you by Stop-Et Spray Deodorant. Poof, there goes perspiration. Poof Deodorant Body Powder, the body powder you spray. Finesse Shampoo, the new flowing cream shampoo. All in the first truly functional cosmetic containers, far easier to use. All created by Dr. Jules Montagnier, the famous cosmetic chemist. Time now to enjoy What's My Line?
And now let's meet our What's My Line panel of well-known personalities whose lines you already know. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in the New York Journal-American and papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
The delightful humorist, columnist, and publisher, Mr. Bennett Cerf.
The greatest thing to ride out of Boston since Paul Revere, Miss Arlene Francis.
Oh, thank you, Bennett. And on my left, our favorite comic panelist, Hal Dimples Block.
And on my left, my favorite news commentator and one of the nicest people I've ever met. Boy, was he worried for a minute. John Daly.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to What's My Line, presented by Stop-Et. Once again tonight, we've got some folks who've come from near and far, all of them with, we hope, unexpected occupations to give our friends on the panel a run for the money. The guests hope to carry home some prizes. We'll also have a guest challenger before the panel a bit later in the program, but right now, to start things rolling, it's time for the experts to meet our first challenger, whose job they've got to spot. Will you sign in, please, ma'am? Helen Dolan. Miss or Mrs.?
Mrs.
Well, Mrs. Dolan, where do you live?
Patterson, New York.
Patterson, New York.
New York State.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, I didn't even know there was a Patterson,
Yeah.
New York.
You didn't?
No.
There was a railroad accident there today, wasn't
Yes, there was.
Well, they seem to want to talk to you some more. Would you walk down in front of the panel for me, please?
It's been a lovely 8 weeks.
Thank you.
All right, Mrs. Dolan, will you come over here now and sit down next to me? And on the basis of your handwriting, the fact that you come from Patterson, New York, not Patterson, New Jersey, and the quick look that our friends have had at you, we give them one free guess as to what your line may be. We'll begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think Mrs. Dolan is a concert violinist.
A concert violinist, Mr. Cerf.
it? I think she's the only woman in Patterson who has a product without chlorophyll in it.
Miss Francis.
Well, I think Mrs. Dolan belies her looks. I think she's probably a lady moving man.
A lady moving man, Mr. Block.
I think she probably works in a fruit store. I think she's quite a peach.
That I will agree with, but the answer isn't specific enough. Nobody's right. We'll let our viewers at home have a closer look at Mrs. Dolan, and at the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. But panel, you've got to dig. Now, Mrs. Dolan, every time you can give them a no answer, it'll cost them $5. We'll ring the score up right here. 10 no's or $50, and you won the game. Mrs. Dolan is self-employed, and with that, we'll begin the general questioning with Mr. Block.
Me? Do you have anything to do with the product?
Yes, I do.
Quiet. Is this a useful product?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it ever used in the home?
Yes.
Would you ever find it outside the home?
Yes.
Could this product ever be held in a person's hand?
Yes.
There's something going on here that I don't know about. Is this something that might be edible?
Yeah.
Yes.
This must be a peculiar type of eating. These kids are laughing. Would it ever be found in a place like perhaps 21 or the Copacabana?
Yes.
Could it be an expensive type of food?
Yes.
I would say it could be an expensive type of food, yeah.
Well, is it the type of thing like if I went to a nightclub and I ordered it, my girl would be very happy?
I'm going to give him a note of that. 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
If Mr. Bloch ordered this, would he be likely to order it for somebody other than himself or his girl?
I would
Probably
say
for
that
David.
we have to be fair and say that it would be unlikely that he would order, and to that degree we have to say the answer is no. So that would be 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mrs. Dolan, is this product ever cooked? This food?
It's cooked sometimes.
It's only sometimes cooked.
Yeah,
Has the
Would
product-
you say it was sometimes
I
cooked
think
and
so.
sometimes it wasn't?
Yes, yes.
Does the product grow out of the has it any part of the product grow out of the ground?
Yes.
Would it be called part of the vegetable kingdom?
Yeah.
Could be.
Yes,
Could be,
sure.
yes.
Is that the principal ingredient in the product that you handle, this part that comes out of the ground?
Well, actually, I think that Mrs. Dolan would agree with me that it would depend on circumstances as to, wouldn't you say?
yes,
Yeah. It could be that the principal part.
Is this product any kind of a grain?
Grain?
Yes. Grain.
It could be, yes.
Could be a grain. Well, would you be able to buy this product in a bakery?
I don't think so, no. 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Well, from what Dorothy and Bennett have asked, could I presume that maybe you wouldn't buy this product at all?
Well,
Is this something that you would not go into a store and buy?
I think we'd have to say yes to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You would not go in and buy it. Would anybody give it to you?
Yes, they might give it to you.
Does it come in several different types? I noticed that you say there's grain and vegetable. Could there also be a meat product involved?
Yes.
Is it something that you might not like?
Yes, I think so.
Do you keep it in a kitchen?
Sometimes, yes.
Could you ever keep it any other place?
Yes.
Would you ever keep it in a bar?
Yes.
Keep it in a bar?
Yes, if you had a bar in your house, would you also have some of whatever these are in the bar?
Well, I will leave this to Mrs. Dolan. You've answered yes. I say there are circumstances where you might have some of this.
This stuff
Would
really
it
gets
be
around.
something you would like to get rid of?
Yes.
Would it be something that you might put out of doors?
Yes, you can.
Would it be something that you shouldn't kick around till it disappears? I mean, would it be something that you would want to dispose of, like garbage?
Yes.
Well, what could you do with a thing like that?
That's what you have to find out, Miss
She is
Harlan.
not one of the inmates.
Do you, dispose of garbage some way?
Yes.
And you're self-employed?
Yes.
This is your chosen work? Well, I don't know what you might do except collect garbage, but I don't know what you'd collect it for. Oh,
I think we'll have to do that. Mrs. Dolan does collect garbage. She drives. Actually, she and her husband together have a little business in Patterson.
oh,
in
I
which
thought
she
that was
can't-
a city thing, you know. I thought
No.
the city paid you for doing that.
We have
Oh, if you
small
wait for the
town.
city.
Oh, it's a
wait for-
small town.
Yes, ma'am.
And you all do your own work. It's a little
Yes,
community where
we're hired by each individual.
Small garbage, too?
Sometimes not.
Well, I must say that I do wish that I lived in Patterson. I can't think of anything more pleasant than having you come every other day.
Yes, thank you.
Well, you did fairly well with the prizes. We hope you enjoyed your visit.
Thank
It was
you,
nice
I
to have you with us. We'll have a challenger. Will you sign in, please, sir?
Howard Katz. How are you? Tell us, first of all, where you live.
New York City.
You live in New York City. Well, all these people then, I dare say, are familiar to you. Will you walk down and take a closer look at them?
Can I feel your muscle?
You want to see where his coat?
Arlene, feel his muscle.
I'd be glad to. I just want to do it for friendship's sake. I won't find out anything. But I
All
like
right,
to.
Mr.
Thank
Katz, will you come over here now and sit down next to me? And on the basis of your appearance before the panel and your handwriting, and if you come in a bit closer, we'll give them one free guess at this point as to what your line may be. And we'll begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think he's a jazz musician.
A jazz musician, Mr. Cerf.
I think he teaches in a high school somewhere.
Miss Francis.
I think he puts the stitches in National League baseballs.
Mr. Block.
I think he works in a pretzel factory. He's the fellow that goes on a bender.
Now, I'm afraid nobody has it. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mr. Katz, and at the same time, we'll tell them what his line is. But the panel's going to have to dig. Mr. Katz, you heard me explain the rules.
Yes.
This is the scoreboard up here. Every no answer that you give them will cost them $5, and we'll keep the record up here. 10 no's are $50, and you've won the game. Mr. Katz is salaried. With that, we'll begin the general questioning with Bennett Cerf.
Mr. Katz, is there a product involved in what you do?
Yes, there is.
Is it a product that is used by both men and women?
Yes.
Does it come in a package?
Yes.
Could this package be carried? Is it portable?
Yes, it is.
Would it be bought in a store?
Yes.
Would you use this product in your home?
Yes.
Could the product be used in the morning,
Yes.
early in the morning?
Yes.
Would I be likely to eat a bowl of it for breakfast?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Well, is the product edible?
Yes, it is.
Is it something that you would have at mealtime?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Block.
This is something edible you can't have at mealtime?
It would not be the normal thing to have it at mealtime. You might. Nobody knows what.
Is it something that human beings wouldn't have at mealtime?
It is something, yes, it is something human beings wouldn't have at
Yes.
mealtime.
Would it have anything to do with four-legged animals?
No.
I don't think so. 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, does it have something to do with human beings?
Yes.
In other words, this is something that you put in your mouth in some occasions, but you do not have at mealtime. Is that correct?
Yes.
Does this improve you in any way?
Well, now. I would say, if Mr. Katz will agree, that there are some who feel that they are improved by the use of the product.
Definitely, yes.
I might say this is a subject to some debate in other
I see.
circles.
Is this anything that you would have in between meals or before meals?
Yes.
Is this by any chance liquid?
No.
That would be 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Katz, you say you only sometimes put this in your mouth? Did I understand that correctly? Can it be used in any other way?
Yes, it can.
To rub it in
can't-
your hair.
It can be.
Take baths in it.
You mean this is a kind of food that you don't have to eat?
That's true.
We just say you don't have to eat it.
Well, what else can you do? Do you
That's a
inhale-
very good question.
Do you inhale it? Can you inhale it?
Yes,
Yes.
you can.
You can inhale this food?
Does the FBI know about this?
Is this perfectly legal, this food? Does it have any peculiar effects upon you after you inhale it?
I think, again, if Mr. Katz will allow me to answer for both of us, the effect is gratifying. I wouldn't say necessarily peculiar, but to the extent that...
Would you say this might produce a ticklish sensation if you inhale this, causing you to sneeze?
In 1 degree,
Is,
it can produce that. in
Is
one
there anything in the snuff family concerned with your livelihood?
degree. Yes. Yes, there is.
Do you make snuff?
No.
No, then make... No, 5 down and 5 to go, Miss.
You sell snuff?
Sell
That'll
snuff.
be great.
Sure snuff.
Well, we got to shake hands with the kid. He's wonderful.
Now, what I used to drive through the New Hampshire hills and remember the snuff advertisements. What kind of snuff do you sell?
Garrett Snuff.
Garrett
Snuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
same
Well,
thing.
Snuff
That's
says.
snuff.
Snuff said, and you did very well with the prizes, I think. We also enjoyed having you and hope you had fun on What's My Line. Nice to see you. Program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. Our friends on the panel would recognize our guest by sight, so we've provided them with blindfolds. Are the blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes.
Good. Will you come in, Mystery Challenger, and sign in, please? Well,
This couldn't be Stephen.
panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery celebrity, we dispense with all the usual preliminaries and get right down to the general questioning. I must tell you that due to circumstances beyond our guest's control, our guest is not able to answer questions himself. I will have to answer them for you as best I can. We'll begin the general questioning then with Arlene Francis.
Well, I was a rousing reception. Is this a beautiful woman?
That would be one down and 9 to go. Mr. Block.
She ain't beautiful? Well, is this celebrity in pictures?
Yes.
Is the celebrity a star?
Yes.
Has she been in a picture recently?
Has she been in a picture recently? That's presumption 2 down and 8 to go. Miss Kilgallen.
Would I be going too far if I suggested that maybe this isn't a she at all?
That would be correct. Yes, yes, she is a male.
And she sounded rather heavy-footed, too.
I beg your pardon?
I say, she sounded rather heavy-footed, or he did, coming in. Is this person capable of rather unusual athletic endeavors?
3 down and 7 to go. Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Daly, not being able to talk, which is something very unusual for a guest on this program, would I be presumptuous if I ventured a suggestion that this mystery guest was an animal?
You would not be presumptuous. You may pursue any course you choose.
Well, I'm going to ask, is the guest an animal?
Yes, I think so.
Is the guest an animal who ordinarily is not given the power of speech, but in some motion pictures possibly has talked?
Yeah.
Would this be an animal that, begging Hal Block's pardon, is a sort of a jackass or a mule?
Bennett, you gotta get on to yourself.
Our guest is a mule, yes.
I would say it's Francis.
Well, beg my pardon.
Say something to the folks.
First time I've kissed a star in years.
Yes, it is. Francis, the talking mule, Universal International Pictures, real star, just made a picture. Francis goes to West Point, and I wouldn't miss it for all the money in the world.
Well, say something, Francis.
Say something. That is what is known as lifting the lip to block. We all do it, and we're glad to see, Francis, that you feel the same way about it. Well,
All
thanks very-
Francis's do.
Can you take Francis over to say good night? We always have to say
Arlene
good night.
Francis.
To
Her
Arlene
sister.
Francis.
Hi, you're running for office.
Thank you very much, sir. And thank you, Francis, for coming and being our mystery celebrity.
I wasn't quite fair. I heard that noise coming in.
Well, we were just hoping you'd feel it was me, but
And we didn't.
I don't make. Who challenge you? Will you sign in, please, ma'am? Dorothea Kleppinger, is that right? Miss or Mrs.? Mrs. Kleppinger. Would you tell us where you live?
Kutztown, Pennsylvania.
Kutztown?
Kutztown.
Where's Kutztown?
Between Reading and Allentown.
Oh, now I know where it is. Well, our friends over there want to know you better, so would you walk down in front of the panel for me, please?
Is that the Dutch country, Pennsylvania Dutch country?
May I see?
Want to feel her muscles better?
All right, Mrs. Kleppinger, you come over here and sit down next to me now, and on the basis of your handwriting, the fact that you come from Kutztown, I like the name of that town, Kutztown, and the quick look that our friends from the panel have had at you, we're going to give them one free guess as to what your line may be, and we'll begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think she makes shoe fly pie and apple pan dowdy.
Shoe fly pie and apple bandowdy. Mr. Sir.
I think she paints those hex signs on barns down there.
Miss Francis.
I think she's got the best diner in Kutztown.
Mr. Block.
I think she probably cuts the holes out of lifesavers and probably makes a mint.
No, I'm afraid nobody's right. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mrs. Kleppinger, and at the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. But, panel, we have about 4 minutes to get this in. We'll give you one more bit of help. You know what the rules are. Every no answer gets you $5. We keep the score up here. 10 no's, $50. You got the game. We'll give you one more bit of help. Mrs. Kleppinger is self-employed. With that, we'll begin the general questioning with Miss Kilgallen.
Is there any product connected with what you do, Mrs. Kleppinger?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Sir.
You perform some kind of service, Mrs.
Yes, I do.
Is this service performed every day of the week?
Yes.
Is it something that you people come to you for?
Sometimes.
You sometimes go to them?
That's correct.
Do you deal with human beings? Do you perform these services for human beings?
Yes.
Of both sexes?
Yes.
Are they pleased to have you perform these services?
Sometimes.
Would you say that you left them happier after you would perform the services?
Again, sometimes.
Only sometimes? Do you come in physical contact with them?
Yes.
Do you touch them in some way with your hands?
What became of sometimes?
You do touch them with your hands?
Yes, usually.
Is this touching for purposes of healing them or making them feel better?
Sure. Yes, I
It
think
is.
so.
Do they feel better after you've touched them? Sometimes.
Sometimes, yes.
Are they in a horizontal position when you touch them?
Not always.
Sometimes they are. Sometimes they're vertical.
Sometimes.
Sometimes dressed and sometimes not so dressed when you touch them.
Yes.
Do you require some special training for what you do?
Yes.
Does what you do require any physical strength?
No.
That would be 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
You said special training. Does it require formal training? Do you have to be a graduate?
Yes.
Then you would be a professional of some kind.
I think so. Yes.
Yes, I'd say so.
Do you have, is the place where people, the place that people come to, would you call this your office?
Yes.
Are you connected with medicine in any way?
Yes.
Do you have a degree, a doctor's degree?
Yes.
Would you be considered some kind of a doctor?
Yes.
Now I have to decide what type doctor you are. You said both men and women come to you.
Yes, they do.
Are you a general practitioner?
I think we got to buy that. Mrs. Kleppinger is a doctor of medicine.
She's a doctor of medicine?
And Hal Block didn't get to ask you a question, which is probably just as well. But also,
Whether
I
she's
might...
married or not. We didn't do that bit.
Now, Mrs. Kleppinger is one of the finest types of doctors, too. She's a country doctor.
Oh,
She gives her
they're the
service-
greatest.
Gives the service out in the country where
They
it's sometimes
spend more
difficult.
time on people for less money than
That's
any
right.
people in the world.
And imagine
Wasn't
seeing...
buggy, Dr. Kleppinger?
Not anymore.
Can we shake her hand?
Yeah, I should
Country
think it would be a
doctor.
very good idea. Would you go over? Actually, Mrs. Kleppinger has asked me that her prize go to the polio fund, so we will just say that none of you got it, and the whole prize goes to the
good.
Kleppinger fund. Boom, the whole thing goes to the polio fund. Thanks very much for being our guest. Bye-bye. And now, in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, good night, doctors. Good to see you. We're going to give you a preview look at one of the guests whose line our panel is going to be asked to identify on next week's program. And now, next week at this same time, our panel of experts will be asked, what's my line by this young woman? Would you know what her occupation is? Could you spot her line? For the answers to these and a good many other questions, be back with us again next Sunday evening at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, when once again Stopette invites you to play What's My Line? For other localities, check your local listings for the date and time of our weekly series. Until then, this is John Daly saying good night, Dorothy.
Good night, brains.
Good night, you Beacon Street siren, Arlene.
Good night, Hal.
And a happy donkey to you.
And good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production. In association with the CBS Television Network.